Okay, y'all, first YouTube video, let's get into it. Like, thank you guys so much for tuning in. The next time I'll be posting should be sometime next week. For the next 3 weeks, I think I'm trying to post once a week. I don't know, I gotta double check my schedule, like my content schedule. Listen, y'all, the first thing you'll learn in nail school is that real learning happens outside of the classroom. Take it from someone who went in with no real experience. Me. Hi, how are you? Hi. Y'all, like, I just get on camera and I don't know how to act. But anyways, I'm Nye, okay? And baby, listen, let me tell you, going into nail school, I didn't know a dang thing about nails. Like, I didn't. I was doing nails. I did them a few times on myself. I want to say like maybe 2 or 3 sets. That was it. Literally just from there, I went to nail school because I knew I was getting ready to go to college and I wanted to perfect my craft. I wanted to go and learn about it. And yes, I'm so happy I went to nail school because I learned a lot. Can't even lie, I learned a lot. But for those that may not be able to go to nail school, whether you can't afford it or you're not interested or you are interested, I'm going to give you guys a quick overview about what you do learn in nail school. So let's get into it. Everything that I'm about to talk about is not in a specific order or ranked by importance, but in general, here are the most important and reoccurring topics that you will learn. The first point is sanitation and regulatory practices. Cleaning, sanitizing, disinfecting, and then sterilizing. You are going to learn the difference between each, and I'm going to explain it to you very quickly. Cleaning is when you wash something with soap. You're essentially just scrubbing the surface and getting rid of debris that are on the top of any item that you or tool that you may be using. Then we have sanitizing. Sanitizing is when this can happen either before or after you sterilize, but if you see people like spray stuff with alcohol and then they wipe it down before they use a tool or after they use a tool, that's sanitizing. But you still are required by the state to go a step further. Disinfecting is the baseline, okay, for the state. Like, you need to disinfect. And so disinfecting is after you clean, after you sanitize, you're going to put your tools, whatever it is that you're using, in a state board approved dilution. And so when I was in nail school, we use Barbicide. I mean, it's pretty common, I think, across like the US and just in general where people use Barbicide. I do use Chasticide now, still board approved. Not really much of a difference. There is small minor key differences, but at the base it still does what it needs to do. The last step that is optional is sterilizing. Okay, so sterilizing is when, if you've ever seen like the autoclave where you open it, right? You open it like this, and then it's kind of like some heat that radiates or like a little light that's in there, and then you put it in and it's like a little oven and you bake it. That's an autoclave. It is not necessary, but it is a good practice in the nail industry. And I've noticed, because I did I guess I was internshipping or really just trying to work at this one nail salon. I ain't gonna name no name, no tea, no shade, but they had an autoclave there. And so I noticed in my experience being a nail tech that it's more common in high volume nail salons and also med spas. In high volume nail salons, you're coming across a whole bunch of clients, you have a whole bunch of nail techs, you don't know if this person cleaned it correctly, sanitized it correctly, but you know once you put it in that sterilizer, you're done though. Like, you're done. Like, there's nothing else to talk about. Like, you know you got it. Like, yeah. I also feel like in a med spa, it kind of just makes sense, or even in like a podiatrist office, because you're coming across foot fungi, nail diseases, ingrowns. You're digging under the hyponychium, you know, like you're really getting into the nitty gritty under the nail. You're coming across a lot of bacteria and, like I just said, fungi. So like I feel like in those spaces a sterilizer is necessary. Like it's a no-brainer. It's literally a no-brainer. You need that. Like you need that. Yeah. So next we have nail anatomy, disorders, and diseases. I literally took all my notes when I was in nail school on my iPad, and I have it right here. I titled my note, I don't know if you guys can see it, Nail Technician Survival Guide. And I told myself, when I get out of school, I'm gonna use my notes to teach other people. And here I am, 2 whole years later. So I'm about to go into where it kind of has a notebook, and I'm going to put up like a little picture, maybe right here, so that you guys can see what I'm looking at. So you see that the matrix is where the nail starts. That's the point where the nail starts growing under the nail. And then you have the nail plates, which grows from the matrix. The matrix, you have the cuticle that's on top of the dead skin that's on top of the nail plate. The proximal nail fold, you see that right there. A lot of times where people will use the term, she nipped me or she cut me and it hurt. That's what they were cutting. They accidentally cut your proximal nail fold, which is why it's important to make sure you're going to someone that knows what they're doing, right? Okay. Then we have the hyponychium, which I think that's how you pronounce it. I love using that word. I love using that word because I love looking at mine. Because my nails grow so long and I let them grow long, my hyponychium has started to rise and grow with it. And so now I can see it. Have you ever been in a nail salon, or you've ever cut your nails down so short and it was like that uncomfortable feeling? That's because you cut too close to the hyponychium, and that's what gives it that uncomfortable feeling. You almost cut off the skin that's attaching your nail to your skin, if that makes sense. Like you almost cut off the skin that's attached to the nail plate is what I meant to say. So let's go over, oh my gosh, these pictures are wicked. I'm going to put a disclaimer up right now. If you have a soft stomach, I'm gonna insert what time you can skip to. Gonna insert because I am gonna put the pictures because you need to know. We all need to know. The first thing, I do have trouble pronouncing the word, but I think it's onycho. So some of these I may be pronouncing it incorrectly, but I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna be honest. For some of these, I'm not going to go too much into the diseases or like the descriptions of them, because as licensed nail technicians, we are not authorized or permitted to work over nail diseases. We are authorized and permitted to work over nail disorders. So I'm only going to go into detail about what we can actually work with. So just going to go ahead and list off some of these diseases with a picture. You guys can look into it yourself. Let me start by saying onycho or onyx means natural nail. So you'll find or you'll hear that all of these diseases or disorders start with onycho. So we have onychocryptosis, buried or ingrown nail. Ugh. Sorry, no judgment zone. Onycholosis. This is when the nail pulls away from nail plate. It's actually kind of crazy because I do see that a lot. Like, I see that a lot, especially if you have clients that get long nails and then they bang them. You'll see sometimes that they'll have like little lifts. And I did come across this one time with a client and I told her, I can't put nothing on your nail. Because if you put something on the nail, the whole thing's gonna come off. Now you really gonna be mad. Then we have onychomatosis. This is a bald nail. This is where the whole nail comes off and it's just skin. It's just like the hyponychium there. Like, you kind of see this. Well, yes, this is referring to diseases where it's something that happens because of like a bacteria or a fungi or a virus or something like that. But just think if you've ever seen a video of a podiatrist like cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting because the nail is lifting the opposite way, right? Like a spoon nail kind of. And then you don't see the nail anymore. You just see the toe and the skin. That's similar to what a bald nail looks like, and it's so crazy and cool at the same time to me. Then we have onychomycosis, which is fungal, and it's very similar to the other one where I was saying the nail like pulls away or like it's lifting, except this one just looks like a fungus. Then you have athlete's foot, which the actual medical name for it is tinus pedis or tinus pedis. Last thing is warts, which is caused by HPV. I'm gonna insert a photo of that as well. We are not allowed, let me clarify this for real, we are not allowed to operate on open cuts or sores. We just aren't. Like, no, we're not doing that. Okay, now we're going to move into the disorders. I'm not gonna lie. You can call me quirky, you can call me weird, but I genuinely love working with the disorders. I don't know. It just feels like somebody's coming in and they're trying to battle me. Like, you want to battle? Like, second MC trying to battle me? Okay, yeah. So, the first one is trumpet nails. This one's kind of self-explanatory in the way that the name is, but the nail curves in kind of the shape of a trumpet. I see this as very common when I was in nail school and I used to be in the pedicure day and night. We had a lot of older clients that would come in and they would have trumpet nails. It's something that's kind of just happens naturally, I guess. It is preventable and fixable by getting your nails done routinely, because if I am cutting it and filing it before it starts curving, then you're not gonna have trumpet nails. I mean, it's really just that simple when it comes to disorders. Then we have the next one. I don't even know how to say this word. Pterygium. I don't even know. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is something that I just don't even know what it is. I don't even know what it is. But you know what? We can literally research it together. Yep. Let's go ahead and look it up. Pterygium on nails, also known as Pterygium unguius, is a condition characterized by the abnormal growth of skin onto the nail plate, leading to potential nail deformity and discomfort. Because y'all, I'm looking at this photo and I'm literally trying to process what I'm even looking at. I don't know. But now it makes sense. It's the reverse. It's where your skin wants to be your nail. I don't even know how do you even go about trying to fix that and make it right? I don't even know. We'd have to ask another nail tech big sister, have you ever dealt with that, girl? Let me know, because I don't even know where to begin. Next, we have leukonychia. Leukonychia. White spots on the nails caused by minor trauma to the nail bed. Seen this before. There's something else that my teacher said, that it can also be like protein. Then we have hangnails. I used to get a lot of them. I don't get them as much as I used to before, but I also used to bite my nails really, really bad. I still kind of bite my nails, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I try to keep them done. Keeping them done helps me not bite them. I do still struggle with biting my nails at this grown big age and after being licensed. What about it? Beat me up. You're just gonna have to beat me up, because I don't know if I'm ever gonna stop. I was just like, yes, I'm going to bite my nails and nobody's gonna tell me anything. Yes. And so there are some more. I could talk about disorders and diseases all day. That's probably something I'll make a separate YouTube video about. But you know, you guys, actually, y'all let me know if y'all want a separate video, because I'm not gonna make the video and then don't nobody watch it. There are some more. I could talk about disorders and diseases all day. That's probably something I'll make a separate YouTube video about. But you know, you guys, actually, y'all let me know if y'all want a separate video, because I'm not gonna make the video and then don't nobody watch it. But I'll go over 2 more things. One is the most common. My pronunciation is not that good sometimes, but it's onychophagy. This is for people that bite their nails. That's literally all it means. That's literally all it means. There is an official term for you nail biters. It is called onychophagy. Remember that. Sorry guys, my camera died, but I'll give you guys the last one. Let me log back in. I'm projecting my voice because I don't have a mic right now. That's why it sounds like I'm yelling to y'all. But the last one that I had wanted to share with you guys is, I call it parrot nails. And it's where your nails grow like this. Like claws, like talons. Typically I see it on feet, but I have seen it on hands. I saw it on my dad, actually. That really did it for me. Saw it on my father. Hi! Oh my goodness, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna put this photo. I'm not laughing at his or their feet. I'm not. It's just like, yeah, like, this will do it. So, moving on, you're going to learn about nail drill bits and rolls per minute. If you don't know what rolls per minute is, it's short for, the abbreviation for it is RPM. And so that is how many rolls per minute your e-file is doing. The lower, the slower, the higher, the faster. And so I believe the number is multiplied by 1,000. So if it says it's 1 RPM, it's really 1,000. And then if it says it's 15, it's really 15,000. Yeah. So I wrote them down in order that you would use them on a set. Yeah. And then I'm going to keep putting the photos up so that you guys can see. But we're going to start with cuticle and natural nail. For the cuticle, you're going to use a ball bit, diamond or ceramic. When I say diamond or ceramic, that is the material or the kind. So diamond, how my teacher described it is, it's a block that, this is how she described it to me, okay? They're silver, right? But it's like some kind of material where it leaves a little, like, I guess dust. Like it sheds, if that makes sense. And she described it as like diamond dust. So that's how I understand them. Or like what that really looks like. It's not like you're doing the nails and it's just like, oh, my drill bit is disintegrating now. It's not like that. The cuticle is disintegrating, but not the drill bit. And then we have ceramic, which they're typically white. You'll know the material by the color or the way that it looks. Like when you know, as I go through it, you'll start to understand. And then there's different course levels. Let me pull up my notes because I always kind of get them mixed up. But there's so many too. Okay, I'm going to circle back to the diamond dust, and this is what I wrote in my notes. Diamond beads have a diamond dust on them that file the nails by scratching the surface to remove materials or dead skin. Used for manicure, pedicure, removal of dead tissue. Yes, they get dull fast. They do. I can attest to that. Then we have the ceramic. Ceramic beads do not use as much heat as the other, but ceramic beads are kind of like, they have carbs in them. Yeah, they have carbs in them. Typically used for like removal, gel removal. I actually have, well, there's a lot of different drill bits in this material is basically what I'm trying to say. But typically I will use carbide for removing the cuticle or removing gel polish. I like to use the corn bit. Works perfect every time, like a charm, every time. Corn bit, also known as flame bit, is, you know, who knows, who cares. I did write down what the colors mean. There's so many colors. I'm going to put up this photo, but I'm also going to describe what I have in my notes. So I think what I meant to say is white, yellow, pink, blue, red, black, double black. White is the softest. Fine. Soft means fine, okay? Oh, not that kind of fine. But anyways, soft means fine. Soft means fine. Easy. Coarse means hard. Just that simple. White is the softest. Yellow means soft. Red is medium fine or medium soft. Then we have blue, which is medium. Red, which is medium coarse. Black, which is coarse. And double black, which means like 2 black stripes, is extra coarse. When you're going on Amazon, it will say fine, extra fine, medium fine, extra coarse, 2x coarse, 3x coarse. It doesn't go by the colors when you're ordering on Amazon typically, or let me say specifically with carbide bits. It doesn't go by color, but ceramic bits typically go by color, and diamond bits typically go by color. Another thing that you will learn is shapes. I would take up so much of your time if I went so deep into detail about what all the shapes are and what they mean, but I can definitely do another YouTube video about it. I actually need to move on because I went into a whole discourse as I was only talking about the first step, which is cuticle and natural. Yeah. So let's move on. Now we're talking about buffing. Buffing is typically used by a sand and mandrel bit. So the mandrel is the metal part that you put inside of your drill, and then the sanding block is what you put on top of it. You only use it once. So if you use it and then you switch out to use a different drill bit, you change the mandrel with it. For me, even if I'm going to use the buffing thing again, I'm still going to change it because the sanding block will get dull. I've noticed, like, if I use it for a long time, when I first started, I noticed that it would get dull quickly, or dull is the word, how to pronounce it. But yeah, you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Another thing that you can use for buffing, which is the second step in doing nails, is a buffing block. Just use a little buffing block. They have normal buffing blocks. Buffing is on the finer side, so they typically like 240, like 200, 240 grit. Grit is how rough something is. With that, it's the higher the number, the softer that it is. The last thing is a file. Sometimes I do just use a file, but I use it very lightly depending on what the grit is. I typically keep 80 files or 100 files, so me buffing the nail is literally like doop 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 doop, and I'm pressing and tapping very lightly because I know how coarse that bit is, and it will literally bulldoze through nail layers, okay? And we don't want that, because then your clients are going to be having not rings of fire, but you scratch the nail and they start screaming. We don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. So next we have removal. I mentioned this earlier, how I like to use the corn bit. For gel polish, I use the corn bit ceramic every time. I never use anything other than that. Now, I do specialize in Gel X, so when I'm doing Gel X, I use a tapered bit carbide. So carbide is a different material in the same way I was explaining ceramic and diamond bits and diamond to you guys. Carbide kind of has the concept of it in the name. It's carved, so there are flukes on it. It literally carves the nail out. This is not for the natural nail. Never. You never ever, ever, ever in your life use this on a natural nail. Even when you're sealing the cuticle, this drill bit is not to touch the natural nail at all, because baby, you're not gonna have a natural nail after you do, okay? I'm telling you. You don't use this on a natural nail. You use this on top of acrylic to remove it, polygel to remove it, and what do I do? Gel X. Gel extensions, gel full tip covers, because Gel X is trademarked by Apris. If you did not know that, that term, that system is trademarked by Apris. So if you're not using the Apris gel and the tips, and you're not doing Gel X, girl. But it's neither here nor there, honestly. Who really cares these days? Then we have sealing. This is where I just said, even when you're sealing, you don't want to use that on the natural nail. For sealing, there's a lot of bits that you can use. People get really creative, especially depending on what nail enhancement you're doing. I use the same taper bit I'd use for removal is what I use to smooth out that cuticle, flesh it out, make it look real good. I will use a 3. I put my drill on 3 RPM every time, actually. Additionally, some people use more than one. So I'm just going to go down the list. Sand and mandrel, 3 to 5 RPMs. Cuticle bit, 3 to 5 RPMs. Because you're by the cuticle, and so it may graze the cuticle. So some people do pair a cuticle bit with like a sand and mandrel, or they'll pair it with like a taper bit. So it's really just your choice, what you see that works for you. Yes, moving on, because I am already taking up so much of you guys' time, but we're almost done. The next thing I wanted to talk about is just the standard prep. Really quick, I just wanted to go through the list of the procedures for when you're doing a client. Sorry guys, my camera literally just died again. I did want to tell you guys about the standard prep, right? So whenever you are doing, it doesn't matter if you're doing Gel X or polygel, or there's another gel. It's like mochi gel. I think it's like mochi gel. It's like new. Excuse me. Acrylic tips, whatever. This is going to be your standard prep before then. I guess I kind of summarize it to what it would actually look like. So you are going to want to wash your hands. If you don't have a sink, glove up, honestly. So you are going to glove up. You, the nail tech, you. Yes. You are going to then spray your client's hands with alcohol, which is sanitizing. Yes. But before that, you do want them to wash their hands, and then you want to sanitize once they get to you. This does not apply to pedicures because you're doing the washing. Yeah. Then you're going to cut. I always make the mistake sometimes. Let's say, it doesn't matter. I always end up cutting at the wrong time. As in, I'll do the cuticle, I'll buff, and then I'll cut. But if you cut first, you're not going to be buffing more than necessary. That's what I always have to remind myself. Because imagine if you're someone like me, you have long nails, right? And so because I am deciding to cut right before I dehydrate your nails, it takes me longer to buff because I'm buffing the full length of your nails, when in reality, you don't even want them long no more. You want them short. You want nubbies. Make sure you remember to cut after you spray the person's nails with alcohol, and then you're going to do the cuticle. Now, doing the cuticle and buffing, interchangeable. It just depends on what you find your flow. Like everything, there are some things that are required in services when you are licensed, but then there are also things where it's just a guideline, and how you decide to follow that does not have to be pink, pink, black, black. You know, it can be pink, black, black, pink. I don't know if that makes sense, but it doesn't have to be like monkey see, monkey do. You know, it can be like monkey heard, monkey thought about it, monkey edited. Like, it doesn't have to be copy and paste. I do the cuticles first, and then I buff. There's also like, it's kind of like a sandwich for me, because I will use a cuticle bit, right? And then I will buff. to get any remaining cuticle that's on the skin off, and then I'll cut with the file, the nippers. So it's like a sandwich: cuticle, buff, cuticle. And of course I buff with the sand and mandrel. Then you're gonna dehydrate. Some people only use alcohol to dehydrate. Some people only use acetone to dehydrate. A lot of dehydrators are made from alcohol and acetone, mixing it 50-50, which makes sense. It's really weird when you think about the chemistry of it. The only difference between acetone and alcohol is 2 hydrogens. Just 2 hydrogens, that's the difference, you know? So it's really cool to see how like they're both necessary, but they both play different roles in the nail service that you're performing on people. I use acetone to dehydrate. I don't mix. I will actually, maybe in a sense I do mix, because look, after I buff, I spray the nails with alcohol, wipe it off to get the lint off, and then I will dip my brush in acetone and then put it on. So it's not a mix, but it is a combination. Next, prime. I use No Lift Nails primer. There was this girl, her name is Nicole. She put me onto this when I was in nail school. I see a lot of people use 2 primers. I'm not gonna lie, personally, I do not prime twice because that's dangerous, y'all. If I'm being completely honest, that's dangerous. That's how you will have a client bump a nail and then their entire nail will come off, because the primer is so sticky and attached to the nail. Because one, maybe you double primed. It also happens when you don't double prime. So I'm not saying that's the only reason that may happen, but I'm saying it makes situations and scenarios like that more often. Like if your client does pop their nails off, their layers of their nail is gonna come off, like if we're being honest, or like it's gonna be harder to remove because you're double priming. It's not necessary, y'all. It's not. Next we have to adhere the nail extension. Now if you're using, let's say you're doing builder gel, or let's just say you're doing a normal gel manicure, you don't need a primer for that. You know why? The base coat is the nail primer. When you're using gel, the base coat is a nail primer, and then the top coat is what seals it. So if you're going to do a gel extension on someone, you don't have to use a primer. The only time that I use a primer when I'm doing like gel is if I'm doing a man. If I know this is a man that works with his hands, then I will use primer so that it doesn't chip as easily. But other than that, I do not use primer when I'm doing base gel. It's not necessary, it's redundant. And after you put on the nail extension, either that's acrylic, Gel-X, Mochi gel, I think polygel, tips, you're gonna seal the cuticle using one of the bits that I said earlier. Taper bit, cuticle bit, sand and mandrel. One of them. You're going to use one of them. Yep. Lastly, I just wanted to talk about the nail enhancement. I just want to go down a list of, you know, what they're going to tell you all about. Acrylic. It's tips, acrylic powder, and a liquid monomer. Dip is a dip base coat or adhesive coat that's applied, and then dip powder is applied on top of that. Fiberglass is a base coat, and then you apply the fiberglass. Oh my goodness, I literally have a video of it on my iPad. I have never done fiberglass outside of nail school, but it's really cool. You know, there's a market for everything. That's what my accounting teacher in high school taught me. Builder gel, base coat, slip layer, you build the nail, top coat. Gel-X, gel adhesive, or gel full extension tips. Gel adhesive, full tip, buff and shape, base coat, color, top coat. I should have went more into detail on the other ones, but we can always say that for another video. But guys, that is everything that I wanted to talk about. Now that you have an overview, here's my suggestion. If you're thinking of going to nail school, or you're currently in nail school, establish a study and practice schedule where you get the opportunity to learn experientially. Because I'm not kidding when I say the real learning happens outside of nail theory. It happens outside of when you're taking notes and when you're learning. Okay? In my opinion, everyone is a hands-on learner. Everyone is a hands-on learner. That's just my opinion though. I feel like we learn best by experiencing something ourselves, doing something ourselves, and then having or receiving our own insights from doing it ourselves. And that's how we learn to perfect our craft. So my suggestion to you is to establish a study schedule for yourself, to go back over nail theory, to look back over your notes, make some note cards maybe, or just reread it. Or just tell somebody a fun fact that you learned today. Like, hey, did you know these two colors make blue? I think that's a primary color. That's a bad example. But you know what I mean? Like, did you know these two colors make burgundy? Did you know that these two colors do this? Or like, did you know this? That's how you actually retain information. To teach one. That is how you retain information best, by teaching another person. And make a schedule where you practice. I used to come home from nail school and I would just set up a video in a time lapse and I would just be practicing. And practicing and practicing. And I'm so glad I had that liberty and freedom, saying as I was working with acrylic, you know, and it stinks. But we had an extended part of the house where I could do that. Everybody doesn't have that liberty, but you can still practice builder gel, or you can practice nail designs. You don't have to practice acrylic all the time. But yeah, guys, if you're interested in more in-depth videos, let me know in the comments. What other videos would you guys like to see? I make content for the people that really want to learn. You want to take notes, you want to retain information and apply it practically. I'm your girl. I got you. In the next 90 days, and hold me to it, like genuinely hold me to it, I'm going to be building the foundation of a YouTube portfolio that will help you, any beauty entrepreneur, establish their business. Subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you can keep your notes updated. In the next video, I'll be doing a nail tech confessional where I talk about my struggles, my weaknesses, and funny stories.